There's no way. I know they were planning on sitting her, but after yesterday's performance, after last night's nuclear god mode activated, there's no way you sit Caitlin Clark tonight, especially.
She looked her own coach dead in the eye and said, "No, not today. Not this shift. Not while the game still needed her." That single moment right there on the sideline cracked open something the league had been trying to hold together all season long. Caitlin Clark waved off the substitution herself. Calm, sure, almost bored by the idea that anyone would think she was ready to sit. And in that instant, the entire balance of power in this league quietly, violently shifted. This wasn't just a stubborn rookie wanting extra minutes. This was a statement, a direct challenge to a system that has always told young players to wait their turn, to trust the process, to let the veterans and the front offices and the media decide when they've earned the right to matter. Clark didn't wait for permission. She took it. The building itself seemed to feel it happen. 1 second it was just another regular season night. Fans settling into their seats, cameras panning the crowd. The next second the whole arena was on its feet screaming because everyone understood at the exact same moment that they weren't just watching a basketball game anymore. They were watching a changing of the guard happen live in real time with nowhere to hide. Across the court, the other bench was in trouble. Real trouble. The kind of trouble you can see on a coach's face before it even shows up on the scoreboard. Stephanie White has built her career on defense, on discipline, on schemes that make even great scorers look ordinary. And on this night, none of it mattered. Every rotation she called, every trap she set, every adjustment she made got picked apart within seconds. You could see it eating at her. The realization that the player in front of her wasn't just having a good game, she was rewriting what a good game even looks like. And here's the part that should really scare the people running this league. They don't actually want her playing 40 minutes a night. Think about that for a second. Why would anyone not want their most electric, most bankable, most must-watch player on the floor for every possible second? Because every extra minute she plays is another record with an expiration date. Every extra possession chips away at the myth that college dominance doesn't carry over to the pros. Keep her out there long enough, and pretty soon there's nothing left of the old measuring sticks to defend. That's the real fear sitting behind closed doors and league offices right now. Not that she'll get hurt, not that she'll wear down. The fear is simpler and a lot more uncomfortable than that. They're losing control of the story. For years, this league has operated like a closed club, deciding who gets the spotlight, who gets the marketing push, who gets built up slowly and carefully. Clark didn't ask to be built up slowly. She just started playing, and the numbers did the rest. She said it herself, plain and simple. She just wants to play and win. For words, no theatrics. And somehow those 4 words hit harder than any trash talk ever could because they expose exactly how much noise the rest of the sports world has been making around her for nothing. Every logo 3 she pulls up and buries isn't just 2 points on a scoreboard. It's a message sent straight to every analyst who spent last summer explaining very confidently why none of this would work at the next level. You have to wonder what's actually being said in those league meetings right now behind closed doors away from the microphones. Because whatever it is, it's getting drowned out by a crowd that has already made up its mind and moved on without them. While the so-called experts were busy debating whether she'd survive the physicality of the pro game, she quietly broke the single-season assist record and blew past scoring numbers that players with a decade of experience have never even sniffed. Read that again. Not close to it, never sniffed it. That's not a hot streak. That's a full-blown changing of the landscape. And it's happening faster than anyone in charge is comfortable admitting. Look at the actual numbers because they don't lie the way narratives can. Television ratings that used to belong to marquee holiday matchups are now showing up for regular Tuesday night games. Merchandise selling out faster than warehouses can restock it. Arenas in cities that used to struggle to fill a third of their seats are now selling out weeks in advance. For a while, the official line was that this was a temporary bump, a rookie honeymoon phase that would fade once the grind of a full professional season set in. Nobody's saying that anymore. Not with a straight face, anyway. Go back and watch the preseason breakdowns if you want to laugh. Room after room of well-dressed analysts sitting behind their desks, confidently predicting that the veterans would rough her up, that she'd need a year or two to adjust, that she'd learn her place soon enough. Every one of those clips ages worse by the week. They're not analysis anymore. They're a record of just how badly the people paid to understand this sport misread what was standing right in front of them. She didn't slowly adapt to the pro game. She showed up and made the pro game adapt to her. Opposing coaches aren't just losing games against her. They're losing the argument about how this league is supposed to work. Every timeout called to figure something out is basically a live broadcast of a coaching staff admitting they don't have an answer. There's no spin, no clever post-game quote that can dress that up as anything other than what it is. And once a shift like this happens, there's no putting it back. The balance of power, the attention, the money that follows attention, all of it has moved. And it's not moving back on anyone's schedule but hers. Sponsors that used to spread their budgets evenly across the league are now building entire campaigns around one name. Broadcast partners that used to slot games in wherever they fit are now rearranging their entire calendar around when she plays. The league didn't choose this shift. The fans did with their eyeballs and their wallets, and the league is simply catching up. What makes this even harder for the old guard to swallow is that none of it feels engineered. This isn't a manufactured storyline dreamed up in some marketing meeting. It's organic. It's real. Every broken record, every viral highlight, every sold-out road game happened because people chose to watch, not because someone told them to. And once something is that genuinely earned, there's no marketing department clever enough to control where it goes next. Think about what it actually means for a rookie to refuse a substitution and have the entire building erupt in support. That's not a coach losing control of a game plan. That's a fan base openly siding with a player over the institution. When the crowd cheers louder for defiance than they do for compliance, that tells you everything about where the real power in this league now sits. The old rule said young players earn trust slowly. Prove yourself in garbage time. Wait for your minutes to grow naturally. Defer to the players who've been in the league longer. Clark simply didn't read that manual, or she read it and decided it didn't apply to her. And instead of getting punished for skipping the line, she got rewarded with records, ratings, and a crowd that is fully bought in. Every time she crosses half court, now there's more riding on that possession than just the scoreboard. Defenders aren't just trying to stop a shot anymore. They're trying to stop a moment that's already bigger than the game in front of them. And you can see it in how they guard her. A step slower, a half-second more hesitant, because deep down they know that no scouting report fully prepares you for someone who treats every trip down the floor like it's personal. League analysts have spent weeks trying to find some past player, some old comparison to explain what's happening. And every comparison falls short because there isn't a clean one. This isn't a slow climb up a career arc. It's a full sprint that started on day one and hasn't slowed down since. She's not just adding her name to the record book. She's pushing other names further down the page. And she's doing it in real time in front of everyone. Television networks that once decided who got the prime broadcast windows are now scrambling to build their schedules around her games instead of the other way around. That's not a small shift. That's the entire business model of a league flipping to follow one player's gravity. Fans aren't asking to see the league anymore. They're asking to see her specifically. And the networks are simply responding to demand. None of this is quiet. It's loud, it's fast, and it's completely unapologetic. There's no soft landing for the old expectations here. No gentle transition period where the league eases everyone into this new reality. It happened all at once in the span of a single season, and everyone who bet against it is now trying to figure out how to talk about it without admitting they were wrong. What we're watching isn't just a great rookie season. It's a full reset of how attention, money, and respect move through this sport. The players who used to hold the spotlight without question are now sharing the floor with someone who refuses to wait her turn, refuses to play small, and clearly has zero interest in doing things the way they've always been done. So, here's the real question worth sitting with. If the way this league works has already changed this much in one season, what does it look like in 3 and 5? Because right now on that sideline, a rookie waved off her own coach, and the entire building stood up and agreed with her. That's not a moment that fades. That's a moment that sets the tone for everything that comes after it. Think about how rare that actually is in sports. Most rookies spend their entire first year trying not to make waves. They defer. They nod along. They let the established names set the pace while they quietly earn their spot. Clark skipped that whole process. She walked in, looked at the timeline. Everyone expected her to follow, and simply didn't follow it. And instead of getting pushed back into line, the game bent around her instead. That's the part that really unsettles the people who've run this league for years. They built an entire structure around gradual buy-in. Build a player's brand slowly, let veterans stay in the spotlight a little longer, manage expectations so nobody gets overwhelmed too fast. That structure depends on everyone playing along. The second one player decides she's not interested in playing along, the whole system has to scramble to keep up. And scrambling in front of a live audience is never a good look. You can see the ripple effects everywhere once you start looking for them. Other young players around the league are suddenly playing with more confidence, taking shots they might have hesitated on a year ago because the ceiling on what a rookie is allowed to do just got blown wide open. Coaches across the league are adjusting their own rotations, not because their system suddenly stopped working, but because they know one bad defensive possession against her ends up on every highlight reel by morning. Nobody wants to be the clip that gets replayed for the wrong reasons. And it's not just happening on the court. Front offices that used to plan their entire season around a handful of proven veterans are now building game plans specifically designed around neutralizing one player. That's an enormous shift in how much weight a single name can carry. It means every scouting report starts with her. Every defensive meeting starts with her. And every post-game press conference eventually circles back to her, whether the coach wants it to or not. Even the pace of the games has changed. Possessions move faster. Defenses extend further out than they used to because leaving any space near half court is basically an invitation. Opposing teams are adjusting their entire defensive philosophy around one player's range, which is not something that happens to average talents. That's the kind of adjustment reserved for players who force the game itself to evolve just to keep pace with them. What's happening here isn't limited to wins and losses either. It's showing up in how casual fans talk about the sport. Now, people who never watched a full game before are tuning in specifically to see what she does next. Kids are showing up to games wearing her number, practicing logo threes on driveway hoops, treating her the way an earlier generation treated the biggest names in the men's game. That kind of crossover doesn't happen because of a marketing plan. It happens because someone plays with a level of confidence and skill that makes people want to watch regardless of whether they followed the sport before. That's exactly why the resistance from the old guard feels so hollow right now. You can't argue with sold-out arenas. You can't spin away record-breaking ratings. You can't explain away a rookie-shattering marks that took veterans a decade to approach. At a certain point, the numbers stop being up for debate, and all that's left is deciding whether you're going to adjust to the new reality or keep pretending the old one still applies. And that's really the choice sitting in front of everyone connected to this league right now. Adapt to what's clearly happening or keep clinging to a version of the sport that fewer and fewer people recognize by the week. One path keeps you relevant. The other leaves you explaining years from now why you didn't see it coming when it was happening right in front of you, loud and undeniable, one refused substitution at a time. If you've been watching this unfold and you can see exactly what's happening here, don't just scroll past it. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what happens next, because this story is moving fast and it's not slowing down anytime soon. Drop a like if you're fully on board with this shift and you want to see more breakdowns like this one. And down in the comments, tell me straight, who do you think gets left behind next as this new era keeps rolling forward? I want to hear your picks.